Thank you all so much for coming today to this launch of the Revitalizing Vermont's Rural Economy campaign. This is the result of probably 10 years of work at the Vermont Council on Rural Development. It follows the Council on the Future of Vermont effort that identified the working landscape as fundamental to Vermont's identity, to our sense of place, to our economy, the environment that we love, and to the long-term future of the state of Vermont. We're excited today to release Investing in Our Farm and Forest Future and to begin to build the work to line up to implement this platform to advance the economy, the farm and forest businesses that are the foundation of the working landscape today and for our future. And I'm delighted to be here with partners who are going to share their perspectives on this as an initiative, and I'll come back at the end and walk through the plan a little bit. But first I'd like to introduce Roger Albee. He's the chair of the Vermont Working Landscape Council.
Thank you, Paul. The working landscape is, as Paul said, critical to who we have been as a state, who we are, and what the majority of Vermonters want for the future. It's the small businesses, the farms, and the forests that make Vermont what it is. It drives our tourism, it drives our economy, and we know without investment, without action, we won't have it in the future. And this plan is about bringing people together to build a new frontier for businesses in Vermont that is so critical to our economy going forward. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Roger. We're delighted to be here at Jericho Settlers Farm. It's a new model of agriculture in Vermont. It's a diversified operation, and it's one of so many new enterprises that are beginning to form on the land here in Vermont. We're going to need a new generation of entrepreneurship in Vermont if we're going to preserve the working landscape for the future. And I'm delighted to introduce Krista Alexander as our host here today to share her perspective.
Thanks, Paul. Welcome to Jericho Settlers Farm. As Paul mentioned, we are a diversified farm. We raise beef, pork, lamb, chicken, eggs, and a mix of over 50 different vegetables. We grow for community members. All of that food is sold within 25 miles of our farm. We have CSA programs. We sell at farmers markets, at our farm stand right here at the farm, and to some of the local stores and restaurants in this area. We started really small and now use over 200 acres of land, all of which we lease within Jericho and Richmond. And we're revitalizing that land. Most of it was not in agricultural production when we started using it, or it was in limited production, and it's now all producing food for this community. In addition to the food that we're producing, we're also employing members of our community. We support 3 families with full-time jobs year-round, and we have another 6 seasonal employees that work a long season at our farm. We return about $250,000 a year back into the community by purchasing services and products from local hardware stores, feed suppliers, meat processors, local bakery, and other cheese producers that we sell their products through our CSA. So we're also putting a lot of money right back into our community with the business that we run here at this farm. One of the most exciting things that I see in the plan is the Agriculture and Forest Products Development Fund, which looks to really aggressively energize and enable a lot of the entrepreneurs that Paul is talking about that are coming up in agriculture and forestry in Vermont. And we are one of those, and so many of my peers who I talk to every day are so ready, have so much energy, and to have a lot of support behind them can really do a lot for Vermont. Thanks.
When we think about the ag sector and we think about the forest sector, we've often thought of them separately. But the fact is that together, the families that have founded farm and forest enterprises for generations in Vermont have built the working landscape that we love. Their stewardship is essential to the future. And it's essential for that future for us to think at a large enough scale to include both sides together. And as a state, we need to line up beyond some of our traditional boundaries and think about the big picture together. So I'm delighted to introduce Peter Kondaxis from the forest products industry at Rygate Associates to share his perspective.
Beautiful day. Glad everyone can make it out. I've been part of Vermont's forest community for over 30 years. During that time, I've seen many changes in the forest products industry and in the lands that support that industry. Some changes have been for the better, such as improvement in harvesting practices, logger safety, and the many thousands of acres that have come under active management. However, the negative factors affecting Vermont's agricultural industry have also impacted our forest products industry. Some of these are land fragmentation due to increased costs of land ownership, the loss of local markets for wood products, depressed prices, and an aging workforce without much interest from young entrepreneurs to replace retiring forest workers. When I was asked to participate in the Working Landscape Partnership this past January, I was not too familiar with the work that Paul Costello and the VCRD group had done up to that point. What I had been aware of for a long time was that most people living in Vermont seem to have lost touch with where things come from. Basic things like food and wood products, and that trend seemed to be getting worse. After educating myself on the work of VCRD and the Working Landscape concept, I agreed to serve in the partnership because I believe this effort can make a difference in revitalizing our rural economies and getting the so-called general public re-educated as to where farm and forest products come from. As Vermonters, we have clearly stated that we value a working landscape, though I'm sure that term means different things to different people. It seems safe to assume that in general a working landscape is one where people can make their living from the land, and in Vermont that means our farms and our forests. Our state is blessed with productive lands. We have the natural resources. Now is the time to look to new ways to invest in our farm and forest futures. The Working Landscape Action Plan defines a course of action to make this happen, utilizing financial investment, technical assistance, and of particular interest to forest landowners, a working lands designation that will promote sustainable management. It's especially critical that we create an environment that is conducive for young people to create and engage in successful farm and forest enterprises. Vermont's forest products industry has endured a difficult last 10 years. During this time, many regional sawmills, pulp mills, and biomass facilities have gone out of business, leaving local loggers with fewer choices where they can market their wood products. Most of these remaining markets are more distant, increasing transportation costs and inevitably reducing revenues. By investing in local forest entrepreneurs, wood products harvested in Vermont can be transported shorter distances to local markets, benefiting landowners, loggers, and the mills that they supply. The individuals that own the majority of Vermont's rural land, our farmers and forest landowners, are being squeezed from all sides. If we as Vermont citizens value our rural landscape as we say we do, then we have to step up and invest in the future of that landscape by keeping it active, by keeping it productive, and by keeping it working. Please take time to read the action plan, join the partnership in our campaign to celebrate the history and future of Vermont's working landscape. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. We're all excited about the movement of local food systems in Vermont and the opportunity for Vermont to be a leader in that arena. But the foundation and the anchor of the ag economy historically has been the dairy economy. The dairy economy is crucial to the future of the state, and I'm delighted to introduce Maria Abbat from Blue Spruce Farm.
Farming is all-consuming, really hard work. And we all know the statistics by now that, especially in dairy, the traditional business model that we've had doesn't work anymore. It's no longer sustainable for the Northeast and for Vermont. But yeah, here I am today, a dairy farmer, and I'm feeling optimistic. What we have here is Vermonters that we're getting together, creating a plan to protect, preserve, promote, and grow our farming and our forest industries and our economies, which really is our heritage, especially in my family, our culture. It's our identity. Why not capitalize on the strengths that are unique to us here in the Northeast and in Vermont? It makes perfect sense. The Vermont Working Landscape Action Plan is providing us with an organized approach to build on our Vermont brand, to market our brands and opportunities, to distribute our products, get our flag up there and say, here we are. Put your processing plant right next to me and I'm going to provide you everything you need. On my family's farm, there's 3 generations. We've been doing this for a really long time, and we have no shortage of great ideas to diversify. But alone, we are limited. And historically, us farmers, I think you'll agree that we work alone and we trudge on during bad times, and then a good time will come, and yay, and then another hard time. But now we're feeling that we're no longer alone. It's like a community encouragement, and every time we want a new project and we need some research and development and we need some outside resources, this is what this is doing for us as a dairy farm. It's allowing us to diversify and getting the skills that we need to develop these products and these ideas that we're always talking about. To my fellow farmers, allow yourself to feel encouraged with this, because we're not in it alone anymore. Our states, our farms are vital to our communities. They're an integral part of our state's charm. Let's embrace this action plan. Let's continue our creativity by our nature and come up with new business models and new adventures for our industries.